Hi, welcome to Backlog Bros.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Travis.
And we have a weather emergency, ladies and gentlemen. There is a huge landslide coming in. If you're not inside, get indoors now. It's our backlogs.
We're going to
Travis. Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost Travis. This is a very serious matter. Get inside now.
So Jake, what games are we playing today?
This is what I got on the wheel today, Travis. I have the Stanley Parable. I have Hitman, LA Noire. I have Hotline Miami, Borderlands 2, Fallout 4, and Kerbal Space Program.
The game looks sweet. All right, Jake, Hotline Miami. Tell me about why you bought the game, what you're interested in about it.
To be honest with you, I don't really even know why I bought the game. More or less, I saw people playing it, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. I didn't get it on sale. I bought it for a full price, which was like $9.99. I think about being honest, which I think a lot of us, I mean, that's what we're trying to do here is work through our backlogs. I bought it and kind of forgot about it. I'm excited to play it, but the bar is like very low.
Okay,
like,
so
I'm
not super high expectations.
Yeah.
Was there anything that triggered you to spend $10 on it?
I saw a video. That's pretty much what it boils down
Developers, that's all you got to do is make a video.
Make a video about it, and it'll end up in my backlog somehow. Travis, what do you got on your wheel today?
So I've got The Evil Within 2, Hyper Light Drifter, Mass Effect 2, Alien Isolation, Gunpoint, Uncharted Lost Legacy, and The Witness.
The Witness?
Yeah, The Witness.
Travis, Alien Isolation. You're going to be isolated out there, man. Why do you have this game?
I'm really excited to play this because I've been putting it off for years. Okay. Let me give you a little bit of back history. So I love the movie Alien. Yeah. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I like the whole series, Alien, Aliens, and then the sequels that they put out, which are hit or miss, really. Yeah. But I love the series, the movies. And this is basically based on that movie series. But I've always put it off because horror games and me don't always mix super well.
No, I hate horror
I've always really struggled to make it through horror games. I've heard this game is really good, but I've heard it's really long, and I've heard it's really scary. So
is it like a horror action or just pure horror?
You know, I'll have to get into playing it to really know all that goes into it. Okay. I think there are some weapons and things, but what I'm really hoping and what I'm really expecting is something very inspired by the first Alien. Like I said, the first Alien, I love Aliens as well, but the first Alien is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just this really dark and haunting atmosphere, and it's kind of like a mix of some like distant future sci-fi, but it's very kind of 80s style, or 70s style kind of like technology. Yeah. So I really want to just kind of go and get immersed, and hopefully I enjoy it more than I just get my pants scared off of me.
You know what's funny? You're saying this is like one of your favorite movies. How long has this sat on your backlog?
I bought this game a couple years ago when it was on sale, and it's sat there ever since. So
that's a long time. I'm excited to see you play it.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it too.
Hotline Miami. Let's see what all the hype's about.
All right, here we go.
You have one new message. Hi, this is Tim at the bakery. The cookies that you ordered should be delivered by now. Yeah. Oh, come on.
There is no alien. Oh my gosh, stop it, dude.
Surprise!
Something's on this station with us and no one knows what it is.
Oh yeah, oh gosh. I don't blame you for puking, bud.
Oh
heck no. No, 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 no.
Ah!
Oh, frick. Oh, it's underneath me.
It's you and me. I hit him. Oh!
Where is he? I don't see him. Oh my god. Frick that. He's in the ceiling. Hell no. Oh!
Oh, that felt great. Holy.
All right, Jake, tell me about Hotline Miami.
What a pleasant surprise in terms of just buying a game, forgetting about it, realizing you own it, and then come back and playing it. Hotline Miami is exactly what I said earlier. It's a top-down action shooter. It's kind of really cool. You open up and it's just this little storyline where a guy walks into a building and there's three like people with masks.
Okay.
Like a chicken and an owl and then an elephant.
Okay.
I know it sounds really crazy when I say it out
This is
loud.
like a robbery situation?
It's more or less, it sounds like they're hiring an assassin.
Okay.
Again, this is all first impressions. They're hiring an assassin, he's breaking into these buildings, and then he has to kill the people that's in them and complete the mission.
Interesting. Okay.
So, you wake up in your apartment after you talk to these three things, and you pick up this your answering machine. It says, "Oh, this is the pest control. You need to go and eliminate some pests down on 12th and 3rd." And you're like, "Oh, I guess I'm."
So you're like a mobster.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
like,
a
you know,
mobster.
yeah, straight
Based
go
in the
clean up
80s.
this mess.
Yes, based in the 80s in Miami. So it's really cool because when you get in there, you're like, okay, how do I do this? And it's like punch, you can knock them out, and it's really gory.
Really?
Like-
I've heard that the game is kind of shockingly gory
Yeah,
because
like-
it's so cartoony,
Yeah.
but it's just people getting slaughtered
Oh,
and
it was
sliced
so crazy.
and
I was in
diced.
there, I punched somebody and I'm like, oh, you gotta finish them. So I'm like,
Oh, wow.
and I'm like, oh, there's like blood everywhere. This is terrible. But then like, so at first you like get into the game and like I think the beginning part's so easy because they want the gore to shock you.
Yeah.
Then the intensity starts to pick up.
Okay.
So beginning of each level, you get a choice of masks you wear, and the masks give you special abilities. Those masks can be like whether it's like longer aim, or you get more guns in the level, or you can take more bullets. Because typically you can only take one bullet or one punch, and you're dead.
Oh, if you take one shot, you
You're
get
done.
hit, you're dead?
And you start back from the beginning. So it's super fun. You know
Oh
how
my
I am.
gosh.
It took a hot minute for me to get going.
Yeah.
But I was actually I was enjoying the challenge. It wasn't that bad. I was starting to realize the masks in the beginning are a lot more important than what it was like at first. Because like you can get a mask called Lethal Door, and what happens is you go through a door and you hit somebody, you can knock them out, and then you can finish killing them. But this mask gives them Lethal Door where you hit them and it kills them. So then it just becomes a giant puzzle. So this game slowly evolved from an indie action game to an indie action puzzle game.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I was like,
Because you
okay.
have to figure out how do I shoot this guy and get past
Yeah.
here, and how do I duck behind this,
Yeah.
and it's the combat design almost becomes puzzle-like.
Yeah, because like I never forget, there was one level I got in there. You got this top floor, and it was really simple. You had a guy in the corner, you had two people down here, and there was a guy watching the guy in the corner. I had a samurai sword, which was the coolest thing in the game. I'd rock up, I slice this dude, I'd go down there, try to slice that guy. I'd walk to the side, I'd let the guy that was watching that guy come up, then kill him, then go in the other door, kill the other two people. It took me forever to get through this.
So are these missions procedurally generated, or are they level designed? Like this is a story
it's
mode and this missions?
It is a story mode. The story's kind of like, doesn't make any sense to me. I'm a for hire assassin. That's what I'm picking up from it.
Yeah.
I think the thing that was like, the level design is like, the people are set there, but they do whatever they want. So occasionally I'll have a guy leave a door that he wasn't leaving the door before, and I'm like, oh, that really is just screwing with me right now.
Okay, so they're not like super mapped, like they always move around in
Yep.
this specific fashion.
And then the game intentionally got harder. They introduced dogs, which you can't punch dogs, you can only shoot dogs.
Of course.
But if you shoot a gun, yeah, real life, right? If you shoot a gun, it attracts other enemies.
Okay.
So it's just, there's so much strategy involved.
So this sounds like there's a lot of systems at play, and they interact with one another.
They do, and I can see why people really, really like this game. I think my biggest complaint is the controls are really jarring.
Okay.
When I'm like sitting
what,
there,
what? Do you play mouse and keyboard?
mouse
or
and
do you play
keyboard,
controller?
which again, it's not my favorite thing to play with. I wish I could play with a controller, which I think you might be able to.
Especially a top-down game like this.
Yeah, it's really weird. But the way you aim, the aiming's so important. I didn't figure out till like almost closer to my end of my gameplay where you can actually lock on to targets.
Oh.
So I was freestyle like aiming, and it was really difficult because you only get so many ammo.
Yeah.
You only get 6 shots per gun or something like that, and there's like 20 enemies, so it makes it a lot more difficult going into it. What was really funny, which I'm still like, I'm kind of intrigued to continue playing because I want to figure out some of this stuff, was there was, after every mission, you go to like a pizza place, you go to like a VCR rental store, you go to a bar.
Are these all fronts for things, or are they
You just
actually...
go there because you're like, I want to go eat.
Oh, okay, go on.
You walk in, and it's the same guy at all 3 places, like, hey man, seems like you're having a rough time. Have you heard about what's going on out there? Crazy stuff. Anyways, this is on the house. Here you go.
Oh, wow.
And after a while, it was the same person each time because they pull up a little face. And I'm like, this dude means something.
Yeah.
I'm convinced this guy is like the mastermind.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it.
Yeah, it's cool. But he always gives me a free pizza, or he gives me like a nice movie, or a nice margarita.
Nice.
Something to take the edge off.
Pizza and margs, man.
Yeah, pizza and margs. So that was pretty much my experience at Hotline Miami.
That's really cool. I've heard this game has a killer soundtrack.
Oh, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I was kind of chilling. Like, it was really cool. It's kind of bassy. You ever been to a club?
Yeah.
I haven't. But rumor has it that they have really like hip music, and it's like you can really get down and just start kind of doing the sprinkler and stuff. And like I was sitting there the whole time. I'm like.
So kids, if you're not old enough to go to a club, play Hotline Miami. So this game really seems like it rides the line between cartoony, crazy fun, and like very vicious, brutal death. Really mess
You
up
ever
things.
picked up a book and like read the cover and you're like, oh, this might be really good. And then you open and you're like, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Hotline Miami is.
Okay, great. Awesome. Really interesting.
Yeah. Travis, you've made it out of isolation.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome back, my man. How did it go?
Okay, so I said that I wanted it to be Alien 1. I wanted it to be the first movie, but a game. And I can confirm it is. In all the good ways and in all the bad ways. So, like I said, Alien is a really interesting series because the first movie was a horror movie. But then with Aliens, it took like an action kind of turn, and which was really good. It's a great movie. Yeah. But then the rest of the movies kind of were somewhere in between action with a little bit of horror. And as a result, all the games, at least that I know of, that have ever come out of the series have been very action oriented. You know, there have been games based on aliens, some of them okay, some of them really bad. And there have been, really interestingly, there was a game based on the Alien property on the PS1 that was the very first game that had dual analog. It was a first-person game. It was the very first game where you controlled like your vision with the right stick, and it got panned and critically because people said it was like uncontrollable. It was unbelievable that someone would make a game.
Where we're at now.
Yeah, and look where we're at now. You know, like every kid in the world's playing Fortnite with the right stick, aiming.
One joystick.
Yeah, exactly. So it is really interesting. But all that being said, there's never, at least that I know of, been a game that really did the horror side of the series justice. And I can say that this game definitely has a good chunk of that going on for it. So basically, when you start the game up, it really feels like you're starting up a long-lost sequel to Alien, the movie. It's very cinematic, it's very atmospheric. So the original soundtrack is very haunting, and they use cues from that original soundtrack to really build up the tension.
Okay.
The game starts, and you're playing as the daughter of the main character from the original movie. But normally when that happens and things, you're like, this is stupid. But it's interesting because in Aliens, the second Alien movie, Ripley, who's the main character, finds out that she's been in cryosleep and her daughter has grown up and died. Like her daughter has lived her entire life and died before she was even, awake or back. So it's interesting to pick the daughter to base a game around because Ripley is somewhere out in cryosleep while this game's going on. But anyway, that being said, you immediately like, okay, I'm down. This is giving me vibes of the original, but also something new. So you first wake up in the ship and you're walking around and it really looks one for one like the same type of ship that the original movie is in. Like and the graphics are so good. It looks so good. But you wake up in like the cryo bay. You walk around. You find like where people eat. Where that crazy famous scene where the guy's like chest explodes in the movie. You're in the kitchen area.
Is it first person or third person?
It's first person.
Okay.
So I should have said that. It's a first person game, and you walk around and you go into the med bay, and it's just like one for one, and it's a different ship, but it really, you can tell that this is that world.
You've seen it.
And I mentioned this before, I love that very tactile 70s technology, but in the future, and the glowing buttons and the old computer prompts and stuff. And this game is just wall to wall, all of that. It remains so consistent with that aesthetic. So immediately I was so in. I was really invested. But the flip side of all that is that you have to take the awful parts of this universe with the awesome parts. So I love that vintage sci-fi part, but the awful part is awful, crazy, horrible creature alien. So let's talk about the gameplay and kind of how cringy? No, not at all.
Okay.
No. When I say it's awful, I don't mean it's poorly presented. I mean it's terrifying. It is pants-crappingly terrifying.
I was like,
no.
That's awful. Like,
No. Have you ever seen the original Alien?
Yes.
It's the monster is so disturbing.
Yes.
The way it's created, and the way, like, just the things it does to people, and the way it evolves over time. It's horrifying.
It's gross.
And this game really captures that. And they say in a good horror movie, you don't see the monster in the first 10 seconds. That's how this game goes, right? So the game starts, and you're on a ship, and you're going to a big, basically abandoned freighter type ship. Where I thought it was going to be a freighter, but you get to it and it's actually like an abandoned spaceport, like an airport, which is cool because you're on this very familiar ship, but there were no spaceports in the original Alien. So
expansion.
you get like a nice mix of the familiar but the new, and so you basically through a series of events, you and your crew kind of crash into the spaceport, and you wind up all split up on the spaceport. So the beginning parts of the game, you're starting to walk around, you're starting to explore, and so the game is really interesting. There's obviously a critical path. So as you start to explore the spaceport, it's somewhat open, but you always know the main direction you need to go. And I thought that they really handled the layout of things well, where you feel like there's a risk reward for poking your head into this little room or kind of going down this little dark hallway, but you never feel overwhelmed where it's like there's 8 paths and I don't know where to go, and because I dislike some of that kind of stuff sometimes. So it is very well designed, I would say. I always felt like I knew which direction I needed to go. Yeah, but I also knew if I kind of go down there, I might get something. I might find some extra loot. I might find.
So it does a good job teasing you enough to keep it creepy because you're not following this one track. Something's going to be around the corner. It's like, oh, I could go down here. I can go here. So it's enough like open-endedness to keep it scary.
It feels like a real spaceport, but it doesn't feel like a real spaceport. Like I'm lost.
Okay, makes sense.
And so I really enjoy that. So the core gameplay loop, at least as far as I am, is it's first person. You're crawling around, you're crouching, you can run as fast as you want, you can crawl as slow as you want. The more noise you make, the more likely you are to trigger the alien's attention.
Okay.
So it's very important that you're not running around banging pots and pans and stuff. But there are moments where you need to run, because one of the things that surprised me, I didn't realize is the ship is more populated than you would think. There are people who were abandoned on this spaceport. So you start to open up email terminals and read about what's going on. And there's people that basically at a certain point, they shut the spaceport down. People weren't allowed to come and go anymore.
Oh.
And a ship carrying something docked there. And so you start to get a feel for how this situation, because the spaceport's abandoned, there's spray paint all over the place, things are broken and crashed. But as you start to encounter these survivors, they attack you, so you have to stealth around them. I thought it was just going to be me and the alien, but no, there's other survivors that are gangs and looters and stuff. So the core gameplay is stealth. It's actually just as much of a stealth game as it is a horror game.
Okay.
So it's very stealth oriented. First person, but reminds me a little bit of The Last of Us in terms of you're trying to get around some of these groups of looters and things like that.
You don't get caught by everything and then track the alien.
Yep.
And make the situation way worse.
Exactly. And so you start crafting. So basically you pick up different scraps or you pick up different things, and there's a crafting menu where you can build med kits, you can build, flashbangs, you can build different things. And so there's very much a loot orient of the game where you're trying to go around, not loot like Destiny, but loot more like probably like The Last of Us, where you're trying to gather supplies, craft some things that'll be helpful for you.
Makes sense.
You might find a gun, but it's only got 6 bullets.
So it's not really gonna do much good.
And if you shoot it, the monster's gonna come find you anyway. So, I didn't do too much of that. But all that being said, one of the other really awesome things is one of the things that helps you with your direction is as you explore, the map is really helpful. If you find a door that's locked, it'll pop up on your map and it'll say X, it'll say a door that's locked.
Cool.
But the other good thing is that there's different types of locks. So there's one lock that you open up with like a big crowbar type thing.
Okay.
And you remove these pressure valves that are blocking the door. There's also like, I think that they're called like phase cutter, so there's a certain type of thing. There's key card doors. And so it's almost like a Metroidvania type thing where you find different types of locks that open you up to different parts of the space station. So you might find one thing and it's like, okay, there's 5 locks in this general region, I can open 2 of them. So you'll go around and you'll open those and you'll explore a little bit. And then maybe you'll find another thing that's like, okay, I can go back and open those other 2 doors. And so it's...
Wouldn't you find that pretty much a lot of guess and checking though?
No, it doesn't feel like it because it's laid out very sequentially.
Okay.
I have not had to backtrack majorly once at all.
Okay, that's
and
not
so
big
they
deal.
lay it out to where you obtain things, at least so far, you obtain them in a pretty logical order. And maybe the game opens up a lot more later on, but it is pretty direct so far in the first few hours. So,
cool.
So I just really enjoyed the level design. I really enjoy the atmosphere. So let's talk about stealth. So this game, when you boot it up, it has 5 difficulty levels. And I was going to play normal, because normal in my mind is normal. That's the normal one. Well, when you read the descriptions of the difficulties, they say that hard is the recommended difficulty. They say normal is, if you just want an okay time, but they say we recommend hard. Hard is actually what we probably balance the game toward. So I had a little bit of a moment of crisis of like, do I play on normal or do I play on hard? And I've always played games on normal typically, but I do find sometimes when they really recommend a different one, you get a better experience because it's how everything's tuned. And I've played these kind of crafting games before where it's like, this is dumb. I always have playing materials. It feels useless. So I decided to play hard. And the game is hard. The game is hard. So when you're stealthing around these people, you're like hiding and you have a peek button and you can look up and stuff. And there were some encounters that I had to try probably 6 or 7 times because I would peek and I was like, there's no way they can see me. They'd be like, who's that over there? And they find you and they shoot you. And they shoot you so fast that I don't even put up a fight. If they find me, I don't even pull my gun out. I just let myself die. So it's the recommended way to play the game. It's still early, but I could see where if this game's 10, 15 hours long, I might get a little bit tired of just how much. Now, here's what I will say. The game has a lot more mechanical variety than I thought it would. I thought it would be crouching, crawling around, finding keys, and opening doors. There are power supply systems, right? So the ship is all filled with systems, so you can turn on like air, like foggy air. You can turn on speakers to mess people's ears up or mess the monster up. So there's all different ways you can manipulate the environment. And if you turn this thing on, you have to turn this other thing off. So maybe you want the speakers on, but you got to turn the lights off. So there's a lot of interesting decisions baked into this, and I still need to dive into those systems a little deeper.
It sounds like you can pretty much do whatever way you want.
You can manipulate, but it is tough. I'm so used to nowadays where you play stealth games and you can like tag everybody and they're marked and you see their holographic version of them. This takes me back to a time in stealth games where like they're just there and I'm here, and pretty much if I felt like in real life they could see me, then they can see you in this. So it makes it tricky because it's like I want to use the peek button, but it's not like I'm hidden. If I can see them, they can see me.
Yep.
And let's say the same thing about the alien times 10.
Oh God.
This alien is intimidating. When you're playing this game and the first time it comes down, you're hiding under a desk and its tail just like drapes over the desk and the music just like pierces your soul and it's just like, oh my goodness. And you're like peeking, you're like, when do I go? When can I leave this room? And then you slowly shuffle off and then you're like, crap, I gotta go back. I forgot that's the way I'm supposed to go. And you're crawling in these vent systems and it is intense. It is extremely intense. And when that thing grabs you, when it finds you, it grabs you and it shrieks and it opens up its mouth and it just like goes right to your face. So it's very, very, very intense. And so when I say the good and the bad part of Alien, that universe, is that there's an alien. And that there's this alien that's eating
It's
people.
scary.
And as much as I love that universe visually and the atmosphere, you don't want to be there. And so that is what kept me from playing the game for so long. And I will say, it is very scary to play this game. But it has so much complexity. It has enough to really keep you engaged, and it knows really when to ramp up the tension and when to pull it back. And when you're playing this thing with headphones on, and I just got to say, if you've never seen Alien or listened to that soundtrack, it is just so haunting, but it's very memorable. And so there was a point where I was waiting for like this railway car to show up, and they played the classic music, but then they pumped in like this new kind of synth, like dun 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 dun, and it just was like my heart rate was just like pounding, and I didn't even see the alien. For all I know, the alien wasn't going to show up, and it was just them screwing with me. But like the more the aliens around you, the more the music just starts to add layers and stuff, and
gosh.
it is really, really well designed.
Man,
really
I'm glad you at least been able to enjoy that time.
Okay, Jake, Hotline Miami, worth the wait or too little, too late?
I'm going to go ahead and say this is too little, too late. And the reason being, I know I talked about how great this game was. The price kind of is taking me off because I'm sitting here thinking about it.
Okay.
I spent $10 on this game,
Okay.
alright? And I'm already almost done with it.
Okay.
I probably put 3 hours into it.
Oh, so it's a value thing.
Yes.
Is it the length? It's not so much the quality.
It's not.
It's the length.
Yeah, it's a quality indie game, and I have
Okay.
no issue with that. My issue is like when I don't know why, but 5-hour games, those are experiences. Those aren't like a game. Like it's $10 is not for me. I don't enjoy the idea of paying that much for
Really?
5 hours entertainment.
See, I think I'm very different than you. I could take a game that's 30 minutes long and pay $10 for it, but if it's really well made and it's memorable,
I throw a fit.
it sticks with me. So for you, it's just that it's not long enough.
Yeah, it's not long enough. I think it has everything there to be a quality game. I think the difficulty is just right because you don't have to pick a difficulty in the beginning or anything like that. I can see where some people maybe get really annoyed by the fact that it's a puzzle game, but they still do what they want.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just random luck.
Yeah.
When it boils down to it, like there was a part where I really
Gotcha.
nailed in what I'm gonna do, and it just for some reason a dog kept showing up for no reason.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't get it. Like I know the dog's coming, but why is he showing up right then and now? And then I have to completely rethink what I was doing, and then right when I rethought it, the dog didn't show up.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
Well, it
that's
goes back
really
to where
annoying.
you talked about you felt like you rely on these things to solve this puzzle. These people to do certain
Yep.
things, and they do it differently different
Yeah.
times. It's random. It's not consistent.
And some people love that. Some people are like,
Okay.
oh, I love the randomness. Me, I don't. If it's going to classify what you are.
Okay.
You know, you're saying you're an action, top-down action, sometimes a little puzzly game, but it's really not. Again, the way they're displaying the game looks great. All right, it's a very simple concept. All right, it's just the value of the game compared to what I'm experiencing. Knowing that I'm almost done with the game and I spent $10 on it makes me be like, I wish I got it when it was like $5.
Interesting.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah. Travis, I gotta know now. Was it worth the wait or too little, too late?
Yeah, man, this was 100% worth the wait.
I gotta honestly think it was coming.
No, I mean, this game, I said before that horror games sometimes don't sit well with me. It's the types of games like the PT demo was this way, where it's just trying to scare you.
Yep.
There is no, and it was a demo to be fair, but there's no mechanical element to things. Well, there are with that game. I don't want to get too deep. PT is its own thing.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to.
Alien.
It's just not for me because it literally just wants to it just wants to scare the crap out of you.
Yeah.
This is scary, but there's so many other mechanics and things going on, and I love the world so much that I'm willing to put myself through hell to play it. So I really, really am enjoying it. I really wasn't sure when I started it. I was not sure. I was like, this might be one I'll just play for the show, and I might say, hey, I like this world, but this is too much for me. But actually, I'm going to follow through. I'm going to finish this game out.
That's
later
awesome.
this week.
And how long was the game? Do you know?
I don't actually know. I think I've heard 10, 15 hours, and so maybe I'll follow up on the podcast or something with my thoughts from it. But for the purposes of this game, I really am enjoying it. So
I mean, I'm glad you're having a great time. And again, for me, horror games are not my style.
yeah,
So especially knowing how long you've had the game, that makes it way more worth the wait. Because you've had this for a long time.
yeah, it's been sitting there on my backlog, and it's A, so it's right at the top. And I would always see it and be like, no, I'll play this other thing. So
Later.
this show is exactly what this game, this type of game is why we have this show.
Yep.
Is because it really makes us okay. I spun it. I have to play it.
I really need to play this.
I'm really glad I did because I knew I was going to like it. I knew when I bought it I was going to like it.
Nice.
I just needed to get my will around to installing it and playing it.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear.
Worth the wait.